Mercedes is back, and they didn't come quietly. Let's rewind to March 2026.
New season, new regulations, completely new cars.
Every team showed up to Australia essentially starting from scratch because that's what the FIA mandated. The 2026 technical overhaul is arguably the most radical rule set change since the ground effect revolution of 2022. Smaller cars, radically different aerodynamic philosophy, and a new power unit formula that shifts the balance between combustion and electrical power more aggressively than ever before. On paper, it was supposed to level the playing field.
In practice,
it handed Mercedes a loaded weapon.
We can win a championship. But I don't want to wait until 2026 when we have the new engine regulations.
Frick, me neither. You can be here for like 20 more years, 30 more years. I can't.
Well, who says that?
This is precious years for me.
George Russell crossed the line first in Melbourne, clean, dominant, almost ruthless in how comfortable he looked. But here's where it gets interesting.
Because Australia was just the appetizer.
Cut to Shanghai, the Chinese Grand Prix, and this time the headline wasn't Russell. It was an 18-year-old kid named Kimi Antonelli. Let that sink in for a second.
He's too young. We shouldn't put him in a Mercedes, put him in a smaller team. He needs experience. Look at the mistakes he makes. Here we go, Kimi. Victory.
Thanks, Toto.
Antonelli, Mercedes rookie, the teenager they threw into one of the most competitive seats in the sport, didn't just finish well in China.
He won outright.
In only his second Grand Prix weekend. People kept comparing it to Verstappen's debut at Spain in 2016, but even that took a little longer to unfold. Antonelli looked like he'd been doing this for a decade, and you have to wonder, is this a genius move by Mercedes, or did they accidentally hire someone who's going to make everyone else look slow for the next 15 years? That question doesn't have an answer yet, but the fact that we're even asking it tells you everything about how different 2026 already feels. Now, let's talk about the other side of this story, because there's a reason this season feels so dramatically satisfying. Max Verstappen, surrounded by engineers after a deeply frustrating weekend, did not hold back. It feels like Mario Kart, he said, referring to the unpredictable, almost twitchy behavior of the new Red Bull.
You turn the wheel and you don't know what's going to happen.
That quote spread across the internet in about 11 minutes. And look, it's easy to laugh at that, but actually understanding why Verstappen is struggling tells you something genuinely fascinating about how Formula One works. Verstappen's driving style is built on a very specific kind of car behavior. He likes high-speed stability, he likes to carry absurd corner entry speed and trust the car to stick. The 2022-2025 Red Bull was essentially engineered around that preference. Adrian Newey's masterpiece, tailored to one man's instincts. The 2026 car is something completely different. It's nervous, it's reactive, it punishes the way Verstappen naturally drives, and 4 world championships don't automatically teach you how to unlearn 4 years of muscle memory. This isn't a crisis.
Not yet.
But it is a reminder that in Formula One, the car is often the story. And right now, Max's car is telling the wrong story. Here's the moment though. The one that genuinely stopped people mid-scroll when the photos came out. Lewis Hamilton, standing on the podium in Shanghai, wearing red. It was his first podium as a Ferrari driver. And if you watched his face in those final laps, the way he was pushing, the way the team was screaming on the radio, it felt less like a race finish and more like someone finally exhaling after holding their breath for a very long time. Hamilton's move to Ferrari was one of the most polarizing decisions in recent F1 history. Fans were divided, analysts were skeptical, and the first few months of 2025 testing didn't exactly silence the critics. But Shanghai was a statement. Not a championship yet, not even a win, but a podium in a race where he clearly had the pace to challenge for more, in a car that,
for the first time in years, seems to genuinely suit him.
The story isn't over, it's barely started. So here's where we are. Mercedes has 2 drivers who look almost unstoppable. Verstappen is publicly frustrated with a car that doesn't respect his instincts, and Hamilton just reminded the world why he's still one of the best to ever do it.